Welcome once again to Horns High Studios for another episode of 666 seconds of murder. That means each one of these videos is 666 seconds or less. That's 11 minutes and 6 seconds. So don't got a lot of time. Let's get started. I'm going to share this presentation with you. Talking Idaho 4 again. And you guys asked for it, and here is another one. Wait, but there's more. More on Eric Gower, the private driver. But before we get started, it's important to remind you, this video is for entertainment purposes only. These are my opinions, pure speculation. If it's a fact, I'll point it out, but a lot of this is speculation. So I'm not trying to accuse anybody of anything. I'm not saying anybody's guilty. Everything here is allegedly. Okay, so let's get going. Now, I've done two other videos on Eric Gower, the person that we believe is the private driver. This would be potentially the last person to have seen Kaylee and Maddie alive that night when he dropped them off at King Road. And many of you in the comments have expressed your concerns with this guy, with the story that came out in the interview that he did with the media, after the incident happened. And you guys spoke and I listened. So here's your third video on him. That more to talk about. It's suspicious that it took him 6 days to report to the police that he was the driver. Also curious that his wife is an employee of the Moscow Police Department in their administration office dealing with Freedom of Information requests. And Eric actually played Santa Claus and is very friendly with the people on this police department. So all very, very interesting tidbits and part of this story. The fact that he lives so close to Brian Kohberger, according to him, 1,200 feet away, and he is allegedly the one that actually gave the Elantra information and told them about Brian Kohberger, tipped them off about him. So, a person that injects themselves into an investigation is always a suspect. And then couple that with the last person to see two of the victims alive, certainly very, very curious. Recent videos have come out. I saw one that said that Eric was not the driver, that apparently this other creator believes it's Emma Bailey, and that somebody actually posed as Eric Gower in that media interview. I find that very hard to believe, but again, we're speculating here. We don't know. I have seen content creators doing videos on Eric, but not a lot. The one that I consistently see bringing him up is Nika's Neuro Nuggets. I really like her channel, and so that's where I first heard about it. Some of my commenters have let me know that Bubbly Waters, that channel, did a video on Eric and his Pinterest page. And I'll link to that video in the episode description. And I realize that Bubbly Waters may not be everybody's cup of tea, but it was an interesting video. So if you're interested, go ahead and check it out. Now, I'm not an advocate against U.S. citizens having the right to bear arms. I am a U.S. Army veteran. I've mentioned this to you guys before. I fired all kinds of weapons. I drove a tank. I exploded ordnance. So, despite all that personal experience with that stuff, his Pinterest page made me cringe. I mean, as far as I know, the page was made well before anybody knew who he was in association to this case. And, he was redacted in the PCA that went to Pennsylvania, but in the Idaho version, his name was redacted in the Idaho version, but not in the Pennsylvania version. But in the Pennsylvania PCA, they misspelled his name as Grower. But he's the one that gave the interview to the media. So His page had a bunch of horrific weapons, like the one that's shown here. This is called a batchety, which is, as you can see, a baseball bat with a machete blade attached to it. I mean, that is about as frightening as it gets. And there are dozens and dozens of things like this on his Pinterest page. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. And in light of what happened, I mean, it is very strange. And I doubt that it's still on there. I would guess that that page is not there anymore, but I really don't know. Now, I'm not saying that just because somebody likes weapons like this, has an interest in that sort of thing, is capable of doing what happened on King Road. All I'm saying is that when you add up all of these odd things about Eric Gower, the batchety isn't helping matters at all. I mean, that weapon is absolutely horror show stuff. And since we believe at least one of the weapons that was used was something like a machete or a hatchet or an axe or something like that, this weapon fits the bill. I mean, this is straight out of some zombie apocalypse type stuff here. This is just crazy. Now, don't forget his strange Facebook posts with pictures of young women hitchhiking and some sort of bizarre comment that was something to the effect of Facebook makes it easy to stalk women. I mean, who says that in today's world, especially somebody working at a university in charge of an outreach program for students? I mean, what in the heck is going on? I mean, I would assume the university would frown on that sort of thing. I'm just shocked. The optics of it are just really, really bad. Another strange thing about this case is the video from the property next door to King Road that would have seen any car coming in or out that night. And all we have is a still photo from that camera at 1:56 a.m. on the night of the attacks. So why? I would assume the video from that camera would show everything in and out. And I don't understand why that seems to be top secret, like with everything else with this gag order. But that would really be very telling and would answer a lot of these questions. So I just don't understand. And why don't we see Eric's car or vehicle on that still if it's dated or time-stamped at 1:56 when he supposedly dropped them off? So I don't know. But this gag order has just made this case so much more confusing and leaves the door wide open to speculation on channels just like this one. If they have their suspect in custody and they're that confident that they've got the right person, then why not loosen up the gag order and let some of this stuff be made known? I mean, what is the reason to keep this stuff such a secret? I mean, every other case I could think of, we've got 911 calls, police interrogation, body cam stuff. We've got none of that. Zero. And I don't expect to see any of that. Something tells me it's going to be like the dog ate my homework kind of thing with this stuff. And I just don't understand it. So, what was the reason that the grand jury wanted to see more evidence in this case? Was it because Brian, might not have been indicted if they didn't have that information? I don't know how they even did indict him if they didn't have enough information. I'm just very confused with this whole thing. It's all cloak and dagger, and it's ridiculous. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'd love to read your comments, and I'm actually going to be doing a video soon on some of your comments. So keep the comments coming. I may pick yours and might get a prize if I pick your comments. So leave some good comments. I love reading them. I want to say thank you to the members of the Horns High Club. We've got FHI67, Christopher Ferguson, Sarah, Batshit Crazy, Christine 079, Dovey, Glowy, Justine Cooper, and Jennifer. I really appreciate it. It's going to get to the point where I'm just going to have to list you guys. I won't be able to get your names all read and meet that 666 second deadline, but I do appreciate it. It's only $1.99, and there are some cool perks with it. It's all explained. If you click that join button, you can see what's included with that. But tried to keep the price low and make it affordable for everybody. So I appreciate you guys watching the video, and we'll see you next time on 666 Seconds of Murder.